Because of my stepmother's lies, my father kicked me out of the house, even though I couldn't walk after my accident. 2 years later, they wanted me to come to their wedding anniversary. So, 2 years ago, I was in a terrible car accident. A drunk truck driver hit me from behind, and everything ended very badly for me. I was bedridden for 3 months. After the accident, I literally couldn't move because the pain was unbearable. I really suffered. But apparently, my father didn't care, because he kicked me out of the house. I was 18 then, and I took his car to practice driving before my driving exam, which was supposed to be in just a few days. I didn't even drive far from home. The accident happened right in our neighborhood. I asked permission in advance from my stepmother because my father had made it clear I needed to ask at least one parent before taking the car. Since my father was at work, I asked her and she gave me permission. But then she twisted the story, saying I took the car to go party with friends and, to seem cool, took the car without her permission. My father believed her without hearing me out and kicked me out. My stepmother had always acted strangely toward me, but I never thought she would lie to my father to get me kicked out of the house. That was too much. She had been in my life since I was 4. I never knew my biological mother. She gave up parental rights right after I was born. My father and she were never married, so it was easy for her to walk away, and my father was ready to take responsibility and raise me alone. My mother never tried to be part of my life, so I was glad when my father started dating my stepmother when I was 4. 3 years later, they got married. But by then, I realized she was not going to be a mother to me. She was just my father's wife and nothing more. When I was a kid, we didn't get along much, and she usually ignored me. But as I grew older, things got worse. We argued more and more. Even over small things, she would blow them out of proportion and complain to my father about my terrible behavior. And he always sided with her, which infuriated me. She was the one who started the conflicts for no reason. We already had a bad relationship, and I was just looking forward to leaving for college in a few months, but that never happened. I had to move in with my grandparents because my father didn't want to see me anymore. It wasn't about money. My father was financially well off. He owned his own company, and the whole family had medical insurance. The car was insured too, so I know money wasn't the issue. The only reason he kicked me out was because of the lies my stepmother told him. She made up some ridiculous story about how I planned to go party with friends and wanted to look cool, so I took the car without her permission. She claimed she overheard me talking about it with someone and even warned me not to do something stupid, but I ignored her and went anyway. This all happened after the accident. Doctors said I would be bedridden for months until I recovered and could move again. I was already suffering from pain and the aftermath of the crash. Then my stepmother started making up stories about me and lying to my father. For a week, we argued endlessly about what really happened. Eventually, I lost it and started yelling at her, accusing her of lying, and said she was just angry because she had to share my father with me. I even said she wasn't right in the head if she could accuse me of something I didn't do, especially given my condition. That seemed to be the last straw for my father, and he decided to send me to live with my grandparents, who thankfully took me in. It was heartbreaking that my own father kicked me out when I couldn't even walk. I told him that choosing my stepmother over me meant I would never see him the same way again. He replied that I needed discipline and that he couldn't keep hurting his wife just because I acted like a spoiled child. So it was clear. He made his choice and decided to believe my stepmother, not me. It was truly painful, and I decided never to speak to him again. It was a tough decision since my father had been the only parent I knew since I was born. I never considered my stepmother family. Although she was around since early childhood, in my mind, she was never family. I think she never considered me family either. After my father kicked me out, I concluded that neither he nor she deserved to be called my family. Family is a serious word with a big responsibility behind it. Only my father was there for me from birth, and I respected him for that. But in the end, he showed that the stepmother was more important. After moving in with my grandparents, they cared for me and even hired a full-time caregiver to help. They are good people, and we have always had warm relationships. The only reason I hadn't moved to them sooner was hope that my father would come to his senses. But no luck. They tried to convince my father to visit me, but he always found excuses: too busy, too tired after work. In 2 months after the accident and being kicked out, he never came to see me. Eventually, my grandparents even argued with my father over his behavior and said he was unfair to me. He told them he wasn't going to fix things with me anytime soon because, according to him, my stepmother no longer wanted to see me and had given him an ultimatum: her or me, and he chose her. He believed I needed to improve and learn to get along with people. Until then, he saw no point in our communication. So that was that. Since then, we haven't spoken. My grandparents sent me to college after I recovered. They were always there for me. It has been 2 years, and I hadn't heard from my parents. Until recently. Apparently, my stepmother has some serious issues because last week she suddenly messaged me saying that she and my father plan to renew their wedding vows in a couple of weeks and wants me there. I was baffled and immediately told her I wouldn't come. She replied that I was obliged to be there and that my father would contact me officially to invite me. One main reason was that some of his business partners who knew he had a daughter would be there. They'd seen family photos on his office desk, and it would be embarrassing if I didn't come. My father, she said, wanted to end the conflict and just wanted me to accept the invitation and forget everything. I wasn't ready to forget. Only 2 years had passed, and I could never forget how he made me feel back then. So I ignored her message. A few hours later, she wrote again, calling me an ungrateful brat who couldn't behave, saying I showed how low I could sink, especially now when my father was trying to make things right, which I didn't deserve. Then she threatened me, saying I either come or forget about any inheritance, no business, no money from my father, and that she would personally make sure of that. That really pissed me off. She thought her pathetic threats would scare me. I just blocked her. Before, I had blocked them only on social media but left their phone numbers. Blocking the numbers seemed excessive. After that, I thought it was over, but apparently not. She emailed me, saying I must accept the invitation because the vow renewal was not just a family event, but connected to my father's work, and he desperately wanted me to come. Still, she couldn't change my mind. They just wanted me there. She kept pressuring and threatening to get her way. I decided I'd had enough. I posted everything publicly with screenshots of our conversation. I wrote about everything that had happened before and publicly exposed both her and my father. I made the post public and tagged my father, stepmother, and some of his colleagues whose names and social media I found. It was deliberate. I wanted his business friends to know how he treated me. After all, the stepmother made it clear that the vow renewal was also a business event for them. After the post, I didn't expect much, but the next day, my grandparents told me my father was horrified. My post caused them serious damage. They planned to merge with another company in a few months. The deal was in early stages, but now likely to fail because of my post. Since I tagged certain people, the info spread, and my father's reputation suffered badly. He thinks it's my fault. My grandparents said maybe I went too far and shouldn't have dragged my father into it because it was really the stepmother ruining my life. Now I feel a bit awkward. So I want to ask you, did I do wrong by telling the truth about my father and stepmother? Well, before we continue, let's take a moment to answer this. Honestly, it's hard for me to answer. On one hand, she's right. On the other, publicly accusing your father like that, is it right? Another question interests me. Is it right to cancel a business merger just because you found out the CEO has a daughter? To me, it seems strange. Also, the messages, some comments, you never know the full story. Can we say that a bad father is automatically a bad manager? I don't think so. I believe a great manager can be a bad father because their priorities lie in business. But again, we don't know the merger conditions, who will be in charge, and shares. Even if he fully buys the other company, does that mean the second company can't be sold? Company 2 sells to Company 1. Company 2 gets money. What difference does it make who leads Company 1? Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm clueless in business. Maybe it's very important. Write your opinion in comments, and we'll continue. Hi, It's been a couple of days since I posted my expose about my father, and I decided to delete it. By the way, some of you asked why I call my father and stepmother my parents even though we have terrible relations. My father is biological, obviously. I know my stepmother since childhood, so I got used to calling them parents. It doesn't mean anything. Don't read too much into it. Anyway, I deleted the post and unblocked my father to be able to contact him. Most people in comments say I owe no one apologies. But I felt I should at least explain that I didn't want things to get so bad. I didn't know about the upcoming merger or how important it was for my father. I didn't apologize exactly, but explained my position. What happened 2 years ago still hurts me, and I can't let it go. So when I found out my father wanted to invite me to the event and make peace, but only for show in front of business partners, it hurt. My stepmother's behavior was insulting. That's why I wrote the post. I sent all this in one message to my father. I didn't expect a reply. I thought he'd be furious, but he responded. He said it was fair and that he deserved it for what he did. He didn't blame me for my reaction. It was strange but comforting. I talked to my grandparents to understand why he behaved so strangely. They told me he had long regretted what happened. The whole story just reached a climax after my post. They said he had talked to him about it long before I messaged him. He admitted how badly he failed as a father. Kicking me out was his decision, but he didn't know what else to do. My stepmother always convinced him I was terrible, and he believed her. But a few weeks after kicking me out, he started doubting himself and her words. He never had courage to admit his mistake or talk to me. That's why he never contacted me after. He said he sincerely regrets everything, and that now it's up to me to forgive him. If I decide not to forgive or cut contact, he accepts that. My grandparents also said he really wanted to invite me to the vow renewal. It was not a show for business partners, as stepmother said. It was supposed to be a quiet family event. He didn't understand why she lied to me, probably to cause more fights. He saw the screenshots and realized stepmother was a big liar. Their relationship broke down. He hasn't heard from the people responsible for the merger and expects the deal to fall through. He has a mess in his personal life now and is trying to cope. After talking to my grandparents, I'm still unsure what to feel. They said they're proud I did the right thing by reaching out to my father, even if it wasn't a full apology. They and I understand that I'm not the one who should apologize. It was all caused by misunderstandings made by my stepmother. At least I showed respect and tried to make contact. My grandparents appreciate it, but I still don't know what to do with my father now. The last 2 years have been very bad between us. Honestly, it was easier to cope when we didn't speak at all. Now I don't know what to think or feel. Many commenters say I shouldn't contact him and cut all communication. I don't think that's right. I already broke the silence once by messaging him. Going back to ignoring him would be strange. I have too many unresolved questions and emotional blocks. I can't just stop talking until we have one real conversation. Maybe later I can. I told my grandparents I think my father and I should sit down and talk calmly. They agree and think it's a good idea. They are talking to him and trying to arrange a meeting. I know things between him and stepmother are very bad. Maybe they'll divorce. Not sure yet. It would be ironic since they were about to renew vows. Grandparents want to restore their relations with him because they don't have much time left. They want to use their time wisely. I understand why it matters to them. My father really regrets everything, they say. He's depressed and doesn't care about the lost merger. All he talks about is how badly he failed as a father and let me down. Maybe I'm starting to understand him. I never tried to see things from his side. Grandparents told me they'll contact me when they agree on a meeting. I hope it will go well. 2 days ago, I finally met my father after 2 years of silence. We met at my grandparents' house, and it was very emotional. I still can't believe I got to talk to him about everything that troubled me and get answers. He apologized for everything I went through and said he failed as a father. He said I turned out to be a much better person than he expected. Though, honestly, I don't think so. He raised me almost alone because stepmother ignored me. Our relationship broke down when I grew up and started having problems with her. Before that, he was a good father. He admitted he made many mistakes. His biggest was siding with stepmother instead of me. He said he believed her because she was older and he never thought she'd lie. She was very skilled at manipulating them. He said he was just deceived and didn't know whom to trust. Even when he doubted, he lacked courage to admit his mistake or talk to me. That's why he never contacted me after kicking me out. He sincerely regrets everything and says it's up to me whether to forgive him. If I refuse, he accepts it. He also told me he and stepmother are divorcing, and she has already moved out. When he saw the screenshots of her lies about the vow renewal invitation and the accident, they had a big fight. She admitted lying about me taking the car and causing the accident 2 years ago. He couldn't live with her anymore and asked her to leave and filed for divorce. It was hard to decide on the spot, so I told him I needed time to think. I'm trying to figure out if I want to give him a second chance. Most people say I shouldn't, but he's my father and only I can decide. I'm an adult now. I don't need anything from him. He doesn't either. After college, I plan to get a job and be financially independent. So money isn't the issue. If anyone thinks he's trying to fix things for future benefits, that's not true. His business still works well. The lost merger and reputation didn't affect sales. That says a lot. This is purely emotional between father and daughter. Now I must decide whether to work on our relationship. Most likely yes, because he's my only parent. Despite the terrible past few years, I don't want to lose him forever. Thank you for listening to my story. If you want to hear more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I appreciate every one of you.